From Manchester City, their points of view, because we're going to go back to the Etihad, and standing by to speak to us is Mark Gahey. Mark, great to be chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. A huge opportunity tonight, a huge result for City. Just give us your take on it and your thoughts on the performance.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, it was a tough game. We know how difficult it is to play against Newcastle and their qualities, their endeavour, their work rate, and also their quality on the ball. So, I think everyone's glad that we got these 3 points and, we can move on to the next game.
How tense was it in the second half? Because we talked about your game management and seeing this result out.
Yeah, we knew second half was always going to be a bit of a sticky one. Second half's always difficult, I think, when their tails are up and they're pushing for another goal. So I think, credit to everyone for keeping their heads and managing the game in different moments.
Mark, hi, it's Alan Shearer. Well done tonight on your performance. Tell us the truth. Are you, as players, in terms of the title race, are you watching Arsenal in midweek and them dropping points and then thinking it's your chance tonight to put pressure on them before they play tomorrow?
Hi, Alan. To be honest, I think everyone's got their own way of, either switching off or watching the game. I personally haven't watched any of their games, to be honest. We're definitely aware of scores as a team going into games. But yeah, I think the most important for us is to focus on ourselves because we can only control what we can control.
Yeah. Mark, it's Steve McManaman. Congratulations, mate, tonight. Why didn't you join Liverpool? No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. How's your adaptation being into the team? How are you finding all your teammates and playing with your new club?
Hi, Steve. Honestly, I was dreading that question, to be honest.
Don't worry. I'm only messing.
But yeah, it's been a great experience so far. Everyone's been super welcoming. I've said in the previous interview that I've had to adapt a lot to the way the manager wants to play and almost change my game completely. His ideas are fantastic, and the thought process behind why he wants to do certain things are really helping me develop as a player. And I just want to learn and be obsessed as much as possible and try and get better. And I couldn't be at a much better place to do this than Manchester City with all these fantastic players. So yeah, very grateful.
Yeah, some of them have been, Mark, in this situation before. It's the first time for you, though. What's it like being involved in this title race? Give us the scoop. What's it like behind the scenes? What's Pep been like? What has he been saying to all of you?
I'll be honest, it's very relaxed from day to day. Obviously, when it's time to train, we train full. We train with the mindset of trying to win every single game and just being focused on our own performances and how we can get better, especially coming towards the end of the season, how we can be fresher, how we can get better and improve our performances. Because, like you've seen today, every minor detail is so important. But yeah, it's been very relaxed from day to day. But when it's go time, it's go time.
A brace for Nico O'Reilly tonight, the first in the Premier League for him. How pleased are you?
Oh, he's been fantastic. I'm so glad he's doing so well. He's a big player for us, so important for us both on and off the ball. I think you guys are seeing his qualities, his goal scoring ability as well that he has, and I'm sure he's going to add a lot more now. So yeah, hopefully he can carry that on, and hopefully the team can as well.
Thanks so much for your time, Mark. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, best of luck, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Steve. Cheers.
Thanks. Right, that was Mark Gahey. We're going to get more post-match reactions from Manchester City. Here is Pep Guardiola.
Pep, it was a high-intensity game, which I knew you were expecting. It looked like it meant a lot there for you at the end. We saw Haaland defending deep to get your team over the line. A big result today.
Massive. It's an incredible team. Newcastle is an incredible, but awesome team. Physicality and the speed that they have in front with Gordon Elanga and after Barnes and all of them. So physicality in the middle. So yeah, really tough, but the team was unbelievable.
You're now 8 unbeaten. You seem to have an ability to get your team winning when it matters most. What's that down to?
No, it's not true. We won today. We draw against the Spurs not far away, so step at a time.
You're as familiar as anyone about this part of the season, the talk that will come. It's now 2 points to Arsenal. They need to come here. Do you feel as equipped as ever with the group that you've got to face that battle and go into a good title race?
70% of the players never play in that situation, and I don't play. So we have to live it, and we know that every game until the end of the season will be like this. And especially at home, with the 5 games left at home, today we had the best crowd of the year. It was unbelievable, our people. And I'm really, really proud to be manager of these incredible people, fans, and so on. And yeah, now is rest 3 days that we need it.
Well, he was speaking to Liam McDevitt there, was Nico O'Reilly. What an occasion for him. 2 goals in a very big game and a player of the match performance. What a time. He was really, really talking about how much he's enjoying his football right now.
Yes, he's in excellent form. He plays every game. Pep relies on him. And he's played in a number of positions. I think that's why we appreciate what a really good player he is. He had a wonderful evening tonight. Quiet second half, but he's the match winner, and that's all that counts. It was back to the walls a little bit in the second half, a bit more of a battle. But City got there in the end.
Yeah, looking at that table, they are hot on Arsenal's heels, breathing down their necks with the small matter of the North London derby to come tomorrow. Manchester City are in prime position to strike.
Yeah, and you know that the Arsenal players have been watching today, as were the City players would have been, and managerial team would have been watching Arsenal in midweek. And now it's back over to Arsenal. Man City have said, we've done our job. See what you can do tomorrow in the North London derby. And that's the way it's going to be in between now and the end of the season. It is between those two. But both teams are not going to win every single game. There are going to be points dropped, and there will be still twists and turns.
And they still meet each other at the Etihad Stadium in April. Looking forward to that one already. Tonight, though, job done for Manchester City. They knew it was a big opportunity, and they came out as if they meant real business. O'Reilly with the early opener, Al.
Yeah, they win the first header. They win the second header there, Haaland. They win the third challenge as well. Yeah, you look at Newcastle defensively, but the way Man City broke on them and the way he hits that Nico O'Reilly, from a City point of view, it's a very, very good goal and well worked. But from a Newcastle point of view, you would think Chow can get a little bit closer to him. And I also think that Nick Pope perhaps would look at that and think he could do better. I'm not sure his positioning's that great. He doesn't move his feet quick enough either. And when you get that much of a hand to it, I think as a goalkeeper, you'd think you'd probably do more to stop that. Having said that, it's a great strike and a very good goal from Man City.
What did you make of it?
I agree with Alan. There's small nuances, small mistakes, aren't there? If Thiaw followed Nico O'Reilly first, Marmoush wasn't the danger. He was picked up. He played a nice ball to Nico O'Reilly. If Malik Thiaw was a little tiny bit closer, they could have stopped it at source. But, you know, you're talking moments in games, and that's what happens at the highest quality. If you switch off slightly, if Nick Pope's feet aren't planted and he's moving left instead of right, it's in the back of the net, and Manchester City got off to the perfect start.
Yeah, the lead didn't last too long, though, because Newcastle found themselves level. Lewis Hall on what was a 100th club appearance for him.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he positions himself really well. That's not a fluke. That's where he has to be, just in case the ball actually comes out to where it does, and he's there perfectly. Yes, it's fortunate that it takes a deflection from Nori, but he's there. He gets his strike away. So from everything, that's well worked. Having said that, as I said, it's the deflection that takes it past Donnarumma, and they get themselves back in the game. And that would be the disappointing thing, is that when they do get themselves back in the game, and then they defend really poorly for the second goal, I think.
Yeah, I was the same. Newcastle were excellent. Even in the first half, they were really dangerous. So once they got back into the game, they just needed to stay in the game a little bit longer, be a bit more secure and counter-attack, because that's where they were really dangerous against Manchester City. But the second goal was incredibly frustrating again if you're a Newcastle analyst who watches the game, because it's easy to analyse and see where the mistakes were happening.
Well, why don't you do that for us and tell us what was frustrating about it?
Well, easily enough. Look at the shape of Newcastle, perfect. But Semenyo flips past Voltemar, who's not a midfielder. And then the gap between Malik Thiaw and Kieran Trippier is too vast. Trippier should be in 3 or 4 yards in towards Malik Thiaw. The danger is in front of him, not behind. And then he gets caught on his heels. You see Trippier's movements now, the very small steps. And Nico O'Reilly's in the gap. It's floated in the air. And as Alan had assessed, that is a wonderful ball for someone who's going to go and attack and be aggressive. And a lovely header back across Nick Pope.
It's a brilliant ball in from Haaland. It's so inviting for Nico O'Reilly to go and run and attack it, and he times it to perfection and then guides it back across where it's come from. Brilliant from his point of view. But from Newcastle, it's just far too easy to go past Nick Voltemada to begin with, and then far too easy with that ball in from Kieran Trippier. He's miles away from Nico O'Reilly. He should be a lot closer, as Maka has said. And if he is, then O'Reilly doesn't get that header.
Yeah, look at Bernardo Silva just giving Haaland props there. So often on the end of balls like that, turned
But
provider.
when you looked at when Haaland goes to cross it in, you see the camera behind him. All you can see is Newcastle defenders. So it's just them getting caught. It's just being flat-footed. One person moving, which is Nico O'Reilly, and Kieran Trippier just a little tiny bit lost. And again, small margins, and they're just punished for it.
Yeah, the first half was, some might say, absorbing. Captivating. We'd expected plenty more goals because the first half was an all-action affair. Yeah,
I thought there would have been more goals in the second half. I thought it would be very similar to the first half, where it was really open. City created chances. Newcastle definitely created chances with the way they played, with the way Gordon was up front and Alanga was using his pace on that right-hand side. And that's the way I thought it would have happened again in the second half, but it wasn't to be. City defended well. They didn't give Newcastle the space to run into like they did in that second half, which then meant they weren't that much of a threat themselves, Manchester City. But as we've said, it wasn't about a performance for them tonight. It was about getting 3 points by hook or by crook and then putting the pressure right back onto Arsenal.
Completing a great record against Newcastle.
Tough game for them tonight, Jolie, and they had to suffer in that second half to get this one over the line. Yeah, definitely. Showed a lot of character in the second half performance. Probably could have gone ahead by a bigger margin in the first half, but it wasn't to be. And like we spoke about before, like it's always exciting when Newcastle are involved. They make it exciting. And again, fully deserved to get back into the game, but the course of the second half, when the game's getting stretchy, you're thinking City are going to capitalise on the space. That wasn't to be, and you end up with a nervy 5-10 minutes at the end. And if you're an Arsenal player right now with a big North London derby tomorrow, what's going through your mind, do you think, Joe?
I've been in that situation where you got a big game the next day, and you know you need to win anyway, but you're all watching it, and you're in the hotel, and it's a bit deflating because they would have been thinking Newcastle with the last 10 minutes could have got something. So you got to get yourself to bed, get up tomorrow, and it's great. I love it. It's a proper title race because we thought for months ago, me included, thought this is going to be Arsenal's all the way, and it'll be finished in maybe April, and but this is right. And this is the first time I've looked at Manchester City now and looked at them and looked at the spine of the team: Donnarumma, Mark Guehi, Haaland, Rodri. Semenyo. No, but they look like men. Do you know what I mean? They look like they're right up for and this place was lively tonight. You can't see them dropping too many points. So Arsenal are going to have to be brilliant from now to the end of the season. And Haaland not on the score sheet this evening. Both the goals from Nico O'Reilly. Just how well did he do, Jolyon? Because both the goals probably avoidable from a Newcastle point of view. Yeah, from slightly.